everybody, and welcome back to another lesson of Lindsay Setchell's It's Not Rocket Science when it comes to horse and hoof care. Now in this lesson I'm going to talk to you about a case study, and this is a warning for all horse owners out there to not ignore the signs and symptoms of chronic laminitis. Now, spoiler alert, the horse survives and is absolutely fine, and to this day is sound and happy. But on the route to the horse getting sound, there were quite a few problems that were unnecessary that the horse didn't need to go through. So that's what I'm going to talk to you about today, because an awful lot of people say about HM that it's basically our way or the highway. And frankly, that is true. It is our way or the highway because we've been around the block many, many times, and it's really, really terrible when you see horses suffering when they don't need to, and when we know we have the answers to help those horses. And if that is ignored, then the best thing for us to do is walk away, because if that person isn't going to follow our advice, we haven't got that magic rasp, that magic wand where we can wave all the problems away. We can't do that. So the horse owner has to come on board with us. They have to do their part, which we've always said is 2/3 of the issue. 1/3 is us and 2/3 is the owner, and they have to own it. Oh, you can't really see that. Own it. The horse owner has to own it. So we explain that and we teach horse owners how to do it, and that's our job. So in this lesson, if you stick around, we're going to tell you why we have a reputation for it's our way or the highway. And we are very proud of that because of the amount of horses that we've saved from a life of suffering and misery. All right, so let's get into it. So this is a story about a horse called Fifi. Here she is. Here's Fifi. Here's Fifi's. Oh my God! What? There's Fifi, and there. Let's get the now. Here's Fifi. Boop boop. Hi Fifi. Hi Lindsay. And Fifi was owned by Sally. Now, Sally loved Fifi, of course she did. And Sally had us as our trimmer. Hurrah for Sally. That's a great news. But Sally didn't really completely, totally believe what we were telling her when we were explaining that grass and diet is a real problem for horses and it can cause issues in the horse's foot. But Fifi was a good horse, and Fifi had been sound and happy, and when we came along it was just routine maintenance trimming. That was fine. But gradually over time things started to change. So let's go through what happened to Fifi's foot. Now, here is Fifi's foot. I am so sorry. I'm always so sorry about my pictures. So here's Fifi's foot. Now there's 4 structures, if you like, that you should be aware of in the horse's foot. 4 structures. Okay, so one of them is the outer hoof wall. That's the outer hoof wall. And the outer hoof wall is the pigmented bit. And maybe I can draw that pigment in. Oh my God, that's terrible. But that is the outer hoof wall. Now, if your horse hasn't got any pigment in the foot, or maybe has one of those marbledy looking feet, then you might not see the pigment. Then we have an inner hoof wall. I'll carry on drawing it with black. And then we have an inner hoof wall. And it's usually quite tiny. And that's the bit that is Mother Nature's horseshoe. So that is the inner hoof wall. Inner hoof wall. Then we have the white line, which usually isn't white at all. It's usually sort of like a dirty colour or a goldeny colour or a grey colour, but it's usually not white at all. And that is the white line. I might put a graphic up on the screen that would be slightly better than my appalling graphic on the board. So that's the white line, and that is the glue. That's the glue that glues the sole, the sole, let's put that in blue, the sole here, and all of this wall together. That's what glues it together. So those are the four structures. We have the outer hoof wall, the inner hoof wall, the white line, and the sole. And when we're looking at a horse's foot, these are really important structures, and they can tell us an awful lot of things that are going on inside the horse's foot. So let's carry on with the story of Fifi, now that you know the structures of the horse's foot. And I'm going to leave this picture up here. So this is Fifi's foot. It's looking okay. Might not look very good on this diagram, but it's okay. And when our trimmer was going back, it was fine in the first, I don't know, 2 or 3 trims. And Sally was very happy, and the trimmer was very happy, and Fifi was very happy. She was being ridden often and all was well. And then one day when our trimmer came along, she noticed, burp, let's have that frog out here a little bit more. She noticed that, and I'm not going to keep drawing it all out because that would be silly. She noticed that the white line started to get some little red spots in it. Not only that, she also noticed that there was some few red spots in the sole. So she said to Sally, hey, now look, we've got some signs of inflammation here, and we really need to get on top of this diet and management. You need to stop giving her as much grass as you're giving her. You need to give her far more hay, because hay is fibre, and that's what the horse needs. That is the most important thing for the horse. And you need to stop giving her all those bag feeds. So Sally was like, no, meh, it's all right. She's still quite sound. It'll be fine. So a couple of trims later, Sally hadn't taken the advice, and then something else started to happen. I'm not drawing in the bars there, I've just got the frog and the sole. Something else started to happen. We started to get what looks like a deformed capsule at the bottom, a deformed volar profile, the sort of footprint, if you like, because there was starting to be a bit more stretch in the white line. Here we go, lots of little red spots, still a little blushing in the sole. And actual fact also, what also was happening was the frog was starting to look a little bit messy and a little bit smelly. So it wasn't going too well for Fifi. And on this trim, Sally went, well, I'll be honest, Fifi's not been going so good recently. She doesn't seem to be going so well. She seems to be a little footsore, and she's trying to go out onto the grass verge. Instead of storming up the tracks like she used to, she's now going onto the verges. What should I do? Should I just let her go on the verge? Should I get some boots? Now, this is a very crucial turning point right here. Because what Sally could have done is she could have just gone and ignored it and got some hoof boots. And incidentally, we love hoof boots when horses are transitioning, but we don't recommend them for just ignoring things that are going on in your horse's foot. Or she could have sacked the HM trimmer and got herself a farrier and had some shoes put on. Now, these two things are total realities of what people do all the time. Or she could have just carried on the way she was going with her HMB Pro. And so she did. So she carried on with her HMB Pro, but she wasn't really listening until eventually we came back again, and now we've got a bigger problem. Because this is really beginning to stretch now, and we're really beginning to see lots more red, lots more blushing in the foot. The frog isn't doing too well, and basically Pony is really now quite footsore. So our HMB Pro says, I told you way back here, I warned you that there were some signs of chronic, and this is what this is, chronic laminitis going on. I warned you that this is what was happening, and then this is what has occurred. She's got worse and worse and worse, but still not totally convinced. Guess what Sally did? She restricted some of the feeds. She did. She restricted a bit of grass, but she didn't really go the whole hog until one day the HMB Pro was like, do you know what? This is like me banging my head against a brick wall. I think what I'm going to have to do is give them the handshake and say, it was really lovely knowing you, but I'm going to have to leave. I'm going to have to go. It's my turn now to go because you're not going to listen to me. Because there's only so much that we can do, you see. There's only so much. We can't exactly just get right in there and say, right, get out of the way, we're going to do it for you. We can't do that. It's your horse. So all we can do is tell you what's going on. So the conversation was had and the HM trimmer said bye-bye and left. Sad, gutted, because they know that this was something that could have been stopped and could have been sorted out. And then a little while later came a phone call of help. And guess who that phone call was from? Sally. That was Sally saying help, because her horse now was crippled, couldn't walk, was in that horrible shaky stance, sweating, looking really not very well, and things had gone right downhill. So our HMB Pro said, okay, I will come back and help you, only on the condition that you do everything I say. I'll do anything, says Sally. Absolutely anything you say. Okay then, I'm coming back. So we came back, HMB Pro came back, and she said, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to put up a track. All your horses are going to have to go on that track. Now, I know that many people that are going to be watching this are going to go, but I can't put up a track. Well, there are various things you can do, and I'll do that in another lesson. But the biggest thing you can do is go and have a conversation with your livery yard owner, the person who you're renting the land off, and just go and speak to them. Tell them how bad your horse is. Tell them that they can't eat that much grass. And if that person at that yard or person that you're renting the land off says, well, I'm sorry, tough, you're not going to put a track up, then you have to kind of vote with your horse's feet. And if you don't, things will just carry on going worse and worse and worse. And this is the trajectory of most horses through chronic laminitis. So we went to see her and we said, you're going to put up a track. Sally, luckily, had her own land, so Sally could put up a little track. So she did. She put up a track, she stopped the bagged feeds, she ripped everything out of the diet and went back to basics, and just had water, hay, 24/7, 365, mixed meadow, no rye in it, and a salt lick, a mineral block. So she could have magnesium oxide and lots of other minerals, etc. So that was what she gave the horse. And she had company on the track too. And guess what started to happen? She got sound. Fifi started to get sound, and she turned a corner and she started going back this way. And as she started going back, the red started to diminish until she eventually got all the way back to here again. And Fifi, once again, was out being ridden, running over all of those hard surfaces, not diving into the grass every 5 minutes because her feet were sound. And guess what? Fifi was very, very happy, and she'd stopped thinking about how painful her feet were. Because I know when horses are thinking about their feet, and you can tell. And you know when you ride a horse that's thinking about their feet. A horse's body and their feet and their gait and everything should just be one big fluid thing. They shouldn't be having to concentrate on the pain that's going on in their body. And of course, when you get to this stage, it's not just pain in the feet, it's pain all over the body. So, had Sally way back here at the beginning, had gone, oh, okay, before we even got to this stage, had gone, okay, I trust you. I know that you are out there doing your thing and that you've rehabbed so many horses. I am going to do what you say. Instead of that, she didn't. So this is what happened. And for many horses, they haven't got an HMB Pro. They don't have one of those. They have somebody who ignores this, in fact. And in fact, not only do they ignore it, they do these kind of things. They just basically chop this off. And they totally chop it off so you can't see it. Now you start to notice that you've got problems and all of this redness and problems with the frog and footiness because the horse is footsore. It's footsore. But that is all ignored. And at one point, when it's getting as bad as this, they do go, I tell you what, this is what you should do. Go and stick some shoes on. So I know, let's go and stick some nails into a foot that is already very compromised. But we'll just ignore all of this bit because we'll just sort of take it away and then we can't see it anyway. So that's all good. That is why there are so many horses in the equine world that are very footsore, very lame, and they're being ridden, they're being competed in shoes because they are chronic laminitis. And it's a big problem. And so many people watching this will go, no, it's not my horse, it's not my horse. If your horse is footsore in any way, if you see red marks in the white line in any way, red blushing on the sole, it's not just because you went for a big ride and it caused bruising in the sole. No. It takes ages for that red bruising that happened way back in the dermis to come through that sole until you can see it. It didn't happen yesterday. It's history that you're looking at. So if you have a horse that's going along this pathway, you are going down the pathological pathway. You are not going down the healing pathway. And that's the pathway you need to go. In fact, you just need to stay here, in this bit here. Trouble is, we come along to an awful lot of horses that are in this state here and worse. And it's all been hidden by removing all the toes, dumping the horse onto parts of their foot that they really shouldn't be walking on, because P3 is in there. Oops, because P3 is in there and you've got to protect P3. So let that be a sober warning to you folks. If you have an HMB Pro and they are telling you that there are problems, or you've got any trimmer that's telling you that there are problems, don't ignore it. But equally, don't let the trimmer go around just trying to make the foot better or just chopping all of this off, because that's not going to help either. It has to be a concerted effort between Sally and the trimmer. And then Fifi will do all the work that is needed, and she will create this incredible foot if we get out of her way and employ the amazing healing pathway. And that is all about diet, folks. And the diet bit is your bit. So I hope you enjoyed that, and that is why, folks, it's our way or the highway, and we are so proud of that, and I know that our clients are so very proud of that too. See you again in another lesson of Lindsay Setchell's It's Not Rocket Science. See you then. Bye-bye.